Episode 1, Whispers in the Fog. Ryan quickened his pace, drawing the scent of rotting leaves and damp earth deep into his lungs. The night fog coiled around his ankles like a phantom, and behind him, even the faint noise of the northern port city of Belmore, a full 3 days' journey away, had long since vanished without a trace. There was only one thought in his mind: just get away, farther and farther still. 3 days ago, Ryan had made a rather handsome profit. He had transformed a retired soldier's rusty sword, a man who called himself the legendary Dragon Slayer, into Silverain, the lost holy sword of the ancient Elven dynasty, and sold it to the gullible young master of a newly formed merchant guild. Of course, the heart-wrenching and epic tale attached to the sword was a story Ryan had fabricated on the spot over 2 glasses of rum at his favorite tavern, the Drunken Goblin. The young merchant had been moved to tears, and Ryan's pockets had grown heavy with gold. The problem was that the merchant's father was Iron Fist Balder, a man who held sway not only in the back alleys of Belmore, but throughout the entire northern mercenary world. Upon discovering the truth, Ryan had immediately scaled the city walls and fled south. Damn it all, he muttered to himself, a bitter smile playing on his lips. Of all people, it had to be the only son of Iron Fist Balder. But he had no regrets. That was Ryan's way. He survived in the world not with a fist of steel or mystical magic, but with a silver tongue, a convincing act, and wits quicker than anyone else's. His creed was simple. There are only 2 types of people in this world: the deceivers and the deceived, and I will never be the latter. The fog grew thicker, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. Only the faint moonlight filtering through the branches barely illuminated the outline of the worn dirt path he was walking on. The cool night air seeped through his thin traveler's cloak. The surroundings were strangely silent, except for the sound of his own footsteps and the eerie hooting of an owl in the distance. It was as if all the world's sounds had been suffocated by the fog. After walking for what felt like an eternity, Ryan suddenly stopped. A faint shape stood in the middle of the path. He instinctively reached for the hilt of the dagger at his waist. It looked like an expensive ornament, but its blade was honed to a razor's edge, his only weapon. As he cautiously approached, the shape's identity was revealed. It was an old signpost, tilted askew, bearing the marks of time. 2 wooden signs pointed in different directions. The left sign, in faded letters, read Silver Creek, a quiet riverside village. The right sign pointed towards the Shadowwood. Silver Creek. What a cliché name, Ryan scoffed. Place names containing silver or gold were usually exaggerated, or more likely, belonged to abandoned mining towns whose resources had long been depleted. But it sounded safer than Shadowwood, at the very least. It was highly unlikely anything good would come from a forest with a name like that. He desperately craved a bed to rest his weary body, and a bowl of warm soup after days of sleeping rough. Without hesitation, he turned towards Silver Creek. It was at that exact moment that Ryan's sharp eyes caught the tiny inscription at the base of the signpost, carved into a mossy patch. The letters were crude and irregular, as if someone had hastily etched them with the tip of a knife. A normal person would have missed it, but Ryan was different. His survival instincts were specialized in finding crucial information in the most trivial of details. He crouched real treasure sleeps. Ryan frowned. It was a riddle, but it didn't take him long to grasp its meaning. This was both a warning and an opportunity. Silver Creek was an empty shell of a village with a pretty name, and the real something was hidden within the menacing-looking Shadowwood. That something could be treasure, or it could be a deadly trap. A faint tremor ran through his heart. The alarm bells of danger and the sweet whispers of greed clashed in his mind. A safe bed and a warm soup, or a life or death gamble. The corners of Ryan's lips slowly curled upwards. His life had always been a series of the latter. Whoa there! Just then, a gruff shout erupted from behind him, followed by the sound of something heavy toppling over him. Startled, Ryan spun around, drawing his dagger. A massive silhouette pierced through the fog. A man, and one who stood a full head taller than the average person. He seemed to have tripped over a tree stump, and was now sitting on the ground with a thud. Blast this wretched fog. Who goes there? The man's voice was as deep and resonant as his size suggested. Ryan kept his distance, not letting down his guard. A traveler, trying not to get lost. And who are you? I am Borin, the man declared, proudly thumping his chest. A knight of the Order of the Wounded Boar, on a pilgrimage to vanquish evil. His posture, however, sitting collapsed on the dirt floor, lacked any semblance of dignity. He grunted and struggled to his feet. In the moonlight, his appearance was truly overwhelming. He was clad head to toe in worn but sturdy iron armor, and on his back he carried a greatsword the size of a man's thigh. His face was simple, almost oafish, but his eyes were as pure and earnest as a child's. Ryan clicked his tongue inwardly. The Order of the Wounded Boar. Never heard of them. Probably some local militia created by a countryside lord. He sized up the giant in an instant. All brawn and no brain. A believer in lofty ideals like honor and faith. In other words, the perfect poem. It is an honor to meet you, Sir Knight. I am Ryan, a humble bard, as you can see, Ryan said with a gentle smile, sheathing his dagger. Borin finally relaxed his guard and let out a good-natured laugh. A bard, how wonderful. Meeting people like you means my adventures might be spread throughout the world in song. But tell me, Ryan, do you know the way? I feel like I've been walking in circles for an hour in this dreadful fog. As it happens, I was just pondering at this very crossroads myself, Sir Borin, Ryan said, respectfully addressing him with the title and gesturing towards the signpost. Borin tilted his large head and read the signs. Silver Creek and Shadowwood. We should head to the village, of course, shouldn't we? Shadowwood. The name alone reeks of evil. Places like that are usually dens for goblins or orcs. Of course you're right, Ryan agreed. But Sir Borin, did you not say you are a knight on a pilgrimage to vanquish evil? I did. My sword exists to fight injustice. Borin puffed out his chest once more. Ryan took a step closer and lowered his voice, whispering as if sharing a secret. Just a moment ago, I met a merchant fleeing from this very forest. He told me that a wicked witch has made her nest in the Shadowwood, and she has been abducting the children of Silver Creek for her horrific rituals. The villagers are paralyzed with fear, unable to do anything. Of course, the merchant Ryan had met never existed. He was weaving the tale on the spot, watching Borin's gullible face. Borin's expression hardened instantly. The spark of suspicion in his eyes was replaced by the flames of rage. A witch daring to harm innocent children. Unforgivable. Going to the village is the easy and comfortable path. But a true knight's honor shines brightest in the face of hardship and adversity. If you defeat this vile witch and rescue the children, your name will not only be the pride of the Order of the Wounded War, but you will be remembered forever as the hero of Silver Creek. Ryan spoke with the passion of a stage actor. His voice was filled with an appeal to justice and duty. He looked Boren straight in the eye, sending a silent message that only he could save the day. Boren was completely sold. He clenched his fists at his sides. "You are right, Ryan. I was a fool. I was so blinded by the thought of comfort that I almost forgot my duty as a knight. I will deliver righteous judgment upon that wicked witch. I will go with you, Sir Boren," Ryan said grimly. "I shall lend what little strength I have, so that my songs may record your great deeds." "Of course," Ryan added silently, hiding a sly grin. "While you're busy taking monstrous blades to the face, I'll be safely collecting the treasure from behind. Oh, Ryan, you are a truly courageous bard. Very well, come with me. Our adventure has just begun," Boren roared, striding purposefully towards the Shadowwood. His back looked as noble as a hero from a legend. Ryan followed him, letting out a sigh of relief. His first gamble had paid off. He had secured a sturdy shield, and now it was time to find the real treasure hidden in the Shadowwood. As their figures disappeared into the darkness, the fog erased their traces as if nothing had happened. The entrance to the Shadowwood gaped like the maw of a starving beast, exuding an inky blackness. From within the forest, something sharp was watching them in silence.